Good evening and welcome to the August 8th, 2017 Federal City Council meeting. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening. Before we get started, I think we were informed that the written copy or the hard copy of the agenda says we're actually starting at 7:30. We always start at 7. So somehow or another, our agenda setting team missed that information. But I do want everybody to know that this meeting was advertised on our website and advertised as normally, according to court rules. Excuse me, not court rules. I'm not in a courtroom. According to our council rules, as starting at 7 p.m. So I don't think there's a need. I just need to amend the agenda. But I just want to point out that there was a clerical error regard to the start time. We are noticed for 7 p.m. That being said, we've got some presentations. We've got actually a busy agenda for this evening, and I do want to note that the proposed resolution on the proposed resolution opposing the siting of illegal substance injection facilities within the city of Federal Way, there are copies or hard copies of the proposed resolution in the back of the room, if not everyone has one. And we'll have a presentation on that. But I wanted to let you know if anybody's here to speak on that. Okay, let's move right on to, we had promised at a previous city council meeting that we would hear about the new distracted driving legislation briefing, and certainly there are some new laws in effect, and my little guy, when we get in the phone now, he takes my phone and puts it in the glove box, and it's the first thing he does when we get in the car, and good for him. And so that's, I think we all just need to be much more mindful, but I'm jumping the gun here. I think we've got a presentation. Do we have Chief? Where's?
I have to apologize, Mayor. I don't see Lieutenant Schulz here. He might have been tied up on something. I'll be
important police business. Yeah, we've got legal counsel. Pinch hitting for Traffic Lieutenant Schulz will be Ryan Call, our city attorney. I've seen too many Mariner games lately, so all right, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody, Mayor and Council. And everybody. I have not actually looked at this slideshow yet, so I will go through it with you together. So a new distracted driving law came into effect this summer. It's in effect now. Officers can cite you for distracted driving right now, and we were asked to outline some of the key points of the new session law. So he's got this going super slow. So the main takeaways here are that unlike before where you could use your cell phone when you weren't actually driving the car, and there were some times where you could use a cell phone for purposes other than talking on them, now the distracted driving law is much more strict, and we will talk about that. So, the reasons behind the law, I think everybody knows this, but we have had pretty extreme, well, basically, they've proven that distracted driving is similar in consequence as to DUI. Lots of fatalities and injuries are caused by people not paying attention to the road, and the state legislature decided to take action by creating a new infraction. So there's two parts of this, and we'll go through both of those. So, the new law prohibits the use of all personal electronic devices, including cell phones, tablets, laptops, two-way messaging devices, or electronic games while driving. While driving means operating a vehicle on a public highway, and that includes when you're temporarily stationary because of traffic or at a traffic light. And that's a main distinction that I believe the gentleman that complained last time that caused us to do this presentation, that he knows that everybody at a light, everybody's got a phone out and is texting or doing whatever, looking at the internet, reading the news, instead of paying attention. So people get rear-ended, and I myself am a motorcyclist, and it's pretty scary when the person behind you might just roll up. And so that is part of the concern. Did you want to take over? So Officer Schulz is here, Lieutenant Schulz, to take over.
Thank you.
All right, welcome, Lieutenant.
Good evening, Mayor Farrell, City Council members. Apologize for being late. Miscommunication on my part with the time I was supposed to be here. Hopefully, to interrupt the evening too much. I'm going to jump in here. Looks like covered so far. How's the law changed? Well, the law's changed a lot, actually. It has significantly expanded the law, the repealed cell phone laws. The laws before really didn't allow officers to be able to do a whole lot as far as being able to stop and write a ticket if the violator had the phone anywhere than upright against their ear. So it was kind of limited with what we could do in that capacity. And it was also very difficult for us to be able to tell if someone was actually texting with a phone. So these laws and expansion is very helpful to us. The new law prohibits the use of all personal electronic devices, which includes cell phones, tablets, laptops, two-way messaging devices, texting, electronic games while driving. So what exactly does while driving mean? It just means that while you're operating a motor vehicle on a public roadway, and the thing to note here for people is that the includes while you're temporarily stopped in traffic. That's going to be at a stop sign or for another delay in the roadway, so you're going through a construction zone or something like that and you're stopped in traffic. If you start to use your cell phone at that point, it's also a traffic infraction or really any other momentary delay. So it's now illegal to hold a personal electronic device in either hand or both hands while you're driving. This is a part that's very detailed with this new law, that if you use your hand or finger to compose, send, read, view, access, browse, transmit, save, or retrieve email, text messages, instant messages, photographs, or other electronic data, and watch a personal video while you're using your phone. So it really encompasses anything and everything that you can do with a personal electronic device in the car. However, this law does not preclude the minimal use of a finger to activate, deactivate, or initiate a function of the device. So if you have the phone mounted into a holder, let's say it's into your air conditioning vents or a suction cup to your windshield or something like that, if you were to momentarily swipe the phone to activate it, then that's not a traffic infraction. You can certainly do that while you're driving or to deactivate it. But any other additional interaction with the phone at that point would constitute a traffic violation. Personal electronic devices do not include two-way radios, citizens band radio, or amateur radio equipment. There are a few exceptions to the new distracted driving law, such as a driver using a personal electronic device to contact emergency services. So if you're out on the roadway and an emergency happens, just like the law was before, this element has not changed, that you certainly can use a phone to call 911 and report an emergency that you're seeing. A transit employee can relay time-sensitive information to their dispatch services. And an individual employed as a commercial motor vehicle driver who uses a personal electronic device within the scope of their employment is permitted under the federal statute to use the phone, as long as it's existed at the effective date of this section. And the particular U.S. code that it's referring to is regulated on safety standards. and then also a person operating an emergency vehicle, so a police officer, et cetera. This is a part of the law I've gotten a lot of questions about. Had people come up to me and ask me, well, officer, am I allowed to drink coffee anymore? Am I allowed to do anything in my vehicle anymore? Or can I get a ticket for anything that I'm doing inside the vehicle? The answer is no, not necessarily. There is a new element to this called the dangerously distracted driving. It's a secondary portion of this law. If an officer sees somebody doing something in a car, such as the examples I've put up here, applying makeup, reading, and they commit another traffic infraction, such as unsafe lane change, that would be a primary violation. An officer could certainly stop the violator for that and then cite for this portion of the law as well. So it'd be a two-pronged aspect of this ticket. My opinion, it probably wouldn't take too long for primary violation to happen if somebody was doing this, but doing that alone wouldn't necessarily constitute a violation. The fines associated with the violation of the new distracted driving law are as follows. The first offense is a $136 ticket. If you get a second offense within 5 years, it can double to a $234 ticket. And then the dangerously distracted portion of it is now $99. Another huge change to this law, which is, I think, an important change, is that these violations can be reported to insurance companies, where before, if you got a cell phone use while driving or texting while driving, that was not passed on to the insurance company. So now the insurance companies will know of this. It could certainly help change driver behavior. And again, apologize for being late. I have a quick video here. It's about a minute long that helps to summarize everything I was just talking about.
I'm Captain Alexander with Washington State Patrol. Washington's new distracted driving law is now in effect. The new law significantly changes how you can use your cell phone while driving. Here's what you need to know.
It is now illegal to hold your cell phone while driving, even when stopped in traffic or at a traffic light. This law includes all electronic devices, such as cell phones, tablets, laptops, and video games. No typing messages or accessing information. No watching videos or using the camera. You can use your device if you are hands-free and can start use by a single touch or finger swipe. If you are parked or out of the flow of traffic, or contacting emergency services. With this new law, you will need to start GPS or music before you drive. The fine for a cell phone violation is $136, $234 for the second offense, and these tickets will now be reported to insurance companies.
We see firsthand the results of distracted driving. Focusing on the road instead of on your cell phone will save lives and reduce serious injuries.
On the road, off the phone. It's the law. For more information, visit wadrivetozero.com.
That's everything I have. Any questions?
Very good. I was actually just talking about a family member of mine who just says, put the phone in the glove box. I think it's just too easy if it's in a console to see a message pop up, and that's how people would,
Agreed.
Yeah,
Happens
exactly.
a lot.
Yeah. Councilmember Duclos.
Well, and I concur with this very much, I really do. But it's more than just in the car. I was in a restaurant the other day, and there was a family sitting together, and every one of them was on their phone. They weren't talking to each other while they were having lunch. And I think this probably goes on in the homes, too. And so we're not relating to people as people. I'm sorry that these phones were ever invented, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. All right, Council, any other questions about this? I think it is important. A lot of, in the days leading up to this, I've got a touch screen where I, do the phone, but it is, it's going to change how we interact in the car, even stop for a light. So I wanted to make sure that everybody was fully aware of this.
That is one of the biggest changes in this law. People are, I think, in the habit of using the cell phones while stationary in traffic at a light. There's a few moments before the light cycles to green, they'll use it for email, et cetera, and this law now prohibits that. So,
that's right. And, there was actually considerable discussion about, and I think the legislature originally intended to have this go into effect over time, but it sounds like the governor was very insistent that this go into effect right away.
yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for this information. I appreciate it. Okay. Okay. Certificate of recognition to Adrion Workman, USA Junior World Class Inline Speed Skating Team, and going to Nanjing, China. Councilmember Selski.
Yes, thanks, Mayor Farrell. So I'd like to invite Adrian Workman and his family to come to the podium, please. And the council and I are, the council and the mayor and I are all happy to present Aaron this certificate of recognition for recently earning a spot on the USA World Junior Inline Speed Skating Team, which will be competing in Nanjing, China in September, the first week in September. First of all, I want to say I'm really honored to be able to lead this presentation this evening. You know, it seems like several times a year we recognize one of our city's sports teams or individuals for their accomplishments. And we recently have done it just in the last few meetings. So this is just one of the really fun parts of this job for all of us. So I, for one, am really proud to live in a community that takes our youth and propels them to such high achievement like Adrian has already achieved. You know, to do this, it takes a community that cares. It takes people to volunteer for coaching, to be directors of teams, sports facility owners, managers, but mostly it takes parents who are involved and concerned with their kids. You know, I know for a fact that the support that Robbie and Dina Reeder Workman have provided to their son Adrian has helped really develop his talent to the level that it is right now. And I also would like to recognize younger brother Ian, who's up there as well in the white t-shirt. Ian, can you raise your hand, please? Okay, Ian himself is already a decorated skater. In fact, at the U.S. National Championships, he came back with a ton of gold medals. So he has big footsteps to follow with Adrian. But I will say that Adrian joins the ranks of many, many inline speed skaters and ice speed skaters who started their careers right at our own Patterson's West Skating Center right here in Federal Way. That skating rink has launched the careers of many, many young men and women into not only skating stardom, but also other sports as well. So Adrian has emerged really at the tender age of 15 as one of the best inline competitors in the nation. And that includes skaters who are much, much more seasoned than Adrian is. About a month ago, Adrian became the youngest skater in the history of the pro national speed skating circuit to win the grand champion race. These are skaters of all age levels and experience. And Adrian, who's been only skating for 6 years, to be able to compete with the likes of the best in the country, to me, it's unfathomable. I actually got a chance to watch the race online, and anybody else can certainly do that. Go to Pro NSC, and you'll see this young man win probably one of the most exciting inline skating races I've ever seen, ever. It was just amazing. So the poise and the strength and the courage he had to stand and skate toe-to-toe with these much more experienced skaters was just extraordinary. So Adrian, we know you're going to be well prepared to take on the World Juniors as you go to this meet. It's going to be a great experience for you next month, and we wish you great luck. And I will tell you, you've definitely made your community proud. So just one last little thing here. Trips to the World Inline Speed Skating Championships, they're not paid for by any sports federations. Rather, families, friends, and communities get together and get behind skaters and help fund them to go to these kind of meets. So if I could ask, please, anybody who's interested, help fund Adrian. He's about $2,200 short for a pretty expensive trip to China. To go to Facebook, you can go to Adrian Workman, that's Adrion Workman. On Facebook, there's a link to a GoFundMe site, or you can go to GoFundMe and just type in Adrian Workman, and you'll be able to find and help, again, send him to this international meet where he's going to represent not only the United States of America, but our community here in Federal Way. So I'll now read the certificate, and then after I do that, I'm going to give Adrian a few moments to speak, or just a few thoughts if he wishes to. So, the City of Federal Way Certificate of Recognition presented to Adrian Workman in recognition of earning a position on the USA Junior World-Class Inline Speed Skating Team representing the United States in the City of Federal Way in Nanjing, China on September 3rd through 10th, 2017. On behalf of the Mayor and City Council, dated this 8th day of August 2017, signed by the Mayor and all 7 City Council members. So, I think Adrian deserves a great round of applause.
I just wanted to say thank you to my parents for supporting me and helping me all this way, and Miguel Jose for helping me become a better skater by like holding practices for me, and yeah.
Good. Congratulations.
Should we do a picture? Right, we need a picture.
And
Do you guys have? Adrian, why don't you, actually, why don't we all come down? Let's all
Okay.
come down to the front.
And while we're doing that, I would also like to second giving congratulations to Adrian's coach, Miguel Jose. I've known Miguel since he was about 12 years old when my kids and I were skating at Patterson's. Here's a young man who's committed. He's committed to doing and coaching kids to not just become great skaters, but also become better people. So congratulations, Miguel.
Yeah, you guys, I think we need to come up a little bit.
Come forward on this right hand side.
All right, that's great. Good luck. I'm excited. Okay, that's great. I just actually said to Adrian, when he gets back, we're expecting a report. We expect great things. And there's actually a real move to make inline skating an Olympic sport. And that's something that they're working on. And it's going to be very exciting to see how this all develops. And we wish you great things, Adrian. Okay, now we've got a very exciting report. Our Economic Development Director, Tim Johnson, the author of the very first ever Economic Development Plan for the City of Federal Way, just produced a video regarding centered on global opportunity for Federal Way. As you can see, the motto for the City of Federal Way is centered on opportunity, and that has many different connotations and permutations. And once I saw what Tim and his team had just put together, I wanted to share it with the council and the community as soon as possible. So with that, Tim, tell us about Centered on Global Opportunity.
Mayor, before I proceed, I just want to congratulate all the department directors and city staff who actively played a significant role in the locating of 500 jobs here to Federal Way and DeVita. That it was announced kind of in a backwards way this last week from the city that was losing the jobs rather than the one that's gaining the jobs, but a job well done. Centered on Global Opportunity was brought to the City Council as a part of the Port of Seattle's Next Century agenda, which they're trying to drive more jobs and particularly focus on those that are on international business and involved in international organizations. I'll explain that in a moment. It was a real circuitous effort to get it here. It had all of 4 months to produce the effort of which you have in front of you, which is a direct mail campaign that's going out to businesses. And in a moment, I noticed that former Mayor Linda Kochmar is here, and she had identified to me at one point that we should be looking at businesses in Seattle, and I think you'll see a kind of a hint to that here, because what we're looking at in the context of this are custom house brokers, freight forwarders, importers, exporters, shippers, and folks that do not have to be adjacent to a maritime or air cargo facility, and at the same time introduce Federal Way in such a way to the 40-some consulates that exist in the Puget Sound and in Washington. And in that effort, as we move forward in phase 2 of this activity that the Port is interested in supporting, we'll be working with the Chamber to host a major event with all of the foreign consulates and business and cultural organizations, some 70 some odd organizations that exist in the Puget Sound, to introduce them to your community. I'm going to ask that all of you attend that later this fall and schedule that for you to participate with the consulates and those organizations, and also asking the Chamber to make sure that we have all of their ambassadors participating, so we have people assigned with everybody. And I thought it would be nice if we could do it at the PAC for about a 2-hour period and make the very best of what we have here. So what I'm going to show you is a short video, a presentation called Centered on Global Opportunity, and I think it's self-explanatory.
If you are looking for a new location or expansion for your company or organization, and your business does not require you to be next to air cargo and marine facilities or a high-priced city center, think Federal Way. Federal Way is located in the state of Washington along the Pacific coast of the United States. It is centrally located in the Seattle-Tacoma metropolitan area. It is along the waterfront of the Puget Sound Inlet and shadowed by the majestic Mount Rainier. Significantly, it is at the interchange of Interstate 5, the major highway that runs north and south along the west coast of the nation, and State Route 18, which connects to Interstate 90 that runs east and west across the nation. Federal Way is minutes south of one of the largest international airports on the West Coast and is 30 minutes from both the ports of Seattle to the north and Tacoma to the south. Washington has robust international trade activity, ranking 7th in the United States with nearly $130 billion in imports and exports. Washington, specifically through the ports of Seattle and Tacoma, is a major port of entry into the United States, with 60% of imported goods bound for the rest of the country. Washington, as is Federal Way, are both receptive to foreign investment and trade. The region has excellent logistic capabilities to meet the needs of businesses through the support of the movement of freight to and from marine and air facilities by air, rail, or truck. The main countries of trade are with Canada, China, Japan, South Korea, United Arab Emirates, Taiwan, France, Russia, and the United Kingdom. Federal Way is in excellent proximity to major markets. It is located nearly in the center of 9 million consumers from Vancouver, Canada through Seattle and Federal Way to Portland, Oregon. 60% of the state's 7 million people are located within a 2-hour drive either north or south of Federal Way. Federal Way, by its location, is equidistant between London and Tokyo, providing businesses the opportunity to talk with both markets in the same day. If you are engaged in international relations, the state of Washington and Federal Way would be beneficial for your location or expansion as well. The state has nearly 40 foreign consulates and hosts 132 sister and friendship city relationships, along with multiple business and cultural affairs organizations representing a variety of nations. Federal Way is also home to the honorary consulate of Seychelles and has 2 sister city relationships, Hachinohe, Japan, and Donghae City, South Korea. It also has a cultural exchange with Shantou City, China. Federal Way is proud to be a community of an ethnically diverse population representing a broad array of foreign-born residents, including many from Pacific Rim countries. The population manifests as a young, educated, diverse, and skilled workforce, where employers will find over 100 foreign languages spoken. Federal Way is in proximity to a variety of institutes of higher education, and soon will be home to a satellite campus of the University of Washington. Federal Way offers continual educational opportunities that support employers' current and future needs. Federal Way is already the location of a number of businesses and organizations involved in international trade and relations. They include Cogent, Tommy Bahama, World Vision, Valmet, and the Korean Broadcasting System. Federal Way is minutes south of one of the largest international airports on the West Coast. Airlines provide dozens of non-stop daily flights to international destinations in support of business and leisure travel. Federal Way is a young, burgeoning community with a skilled and diverse labor force. The city has excellent infrastructure and systems supporting the movement of freight, and our receptive government is favorable to foreign trade and investment. Your company would also benefit from reduced costs in Federal Way. Along with Washington having no unitary tax, Federal Way has little, if any, local taxes. Federal Way provides an array of campus-style Class A office space, which is priced 38% less per square foot than downtown Seattle and 27% less per square foot than downtown Tacoma. Federal Way as a home offers an excellent quality of life. Situated between two mountain ranges and next to the Puget Sound, the views are unparalleled. The city hosts many amenities such as retail, local activities, tourism, dining, medical care, and routine conveniences. Centered on nearly 9 million people from Vancouver, Canada through Seattle, Tacoma, and onto Portland, Oregon, Federal Way is by all accounts a wonderful location for companies centered around international trade, maritime, and air freight logistics and support services. Focused on high global impact through international relations, Federal Way is an ideal location for organizations both foreign and domestic, such as educational institutes, government agencies, and nonprofits. So, if you are looking for a new location or for expansion and it does not require you to be next to air cargo and maritime facilities or a high-priced city center, think Federal Way. This production has been made possible with a grant from the Port of Seattle.
Great job, Tim. Can you tell us a little, some of the folks that were involved in the creation of this video?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to if I could. There was a lot of assistance in here, and again, as I said, we only had 4 months to gather all the information. It's a collection of data that came from recent data from the U.S. Department of Commerce and International Trade Administration, the State of Washington Department of Commerce, the Seattle Trade Development Alliance, of course, both the Port of Seattle and the Seaport Alliance, and a variety of other nonprofit organizations that serve the region. In that regard, we hired 2 young ladies who were our interns. Teddy McGuire, Teddy finished up her MBA at the University of Seattle, and Krista Perez, who finished up her BA at the University of Washington. The graphics work that you have in your hands were helped develop by our graphic artist, Stephen Heiserman. Big kudos for Stephen. I think he grasped the essence of what we were trying to do. And then the video that you see is done by our videographer, Mike Ziak. I believe Mike's here. He's in the back of the room.
Mike, can you stand up in the back and wave your...
The video total cost, so I just want to go through this. Again, it did not cost the city anything. This was a grant. It was just a little over $3,000 to produce this video. And again, we did it in a timely and effective manner. So it's, I hope Linda Koshimar sees kind of the hint of what we did here there, Linda. Great, in that regard and capture that. Again, we're going to be working with the chamber in the second phase of this. We think it's really important where we move forward on this going forward. And I think this is the right direction. This is, by the way, Mayor, and I thank you for the preface remarks, this is a targeted industry. International trade and relations is a targeted industry of the city. And so this gives us a chance to step it up a couple notches. And I hope that you enjoyed it.
And how many videos of this have you sent out?
So in our direct marketing campaign that we've had today, we're almost at 100. And the 40 consulates will get theirs shortly as we prepare for that presentation and a host of other folks that we will continue on with. Let me just share this with a part of that group that received it were all of the commercial real estate brokers who have listings in Federal Way right now, so that they were brought up to date immediately on it and asked if we could participate with them on sharing their listings with companies that we're talking to, and they've given us the nod in the affirmative to do so. So we're pretty pleased with the response since this was put out 2 weeks ago.
All right, thank you, Tim. Thank you again. Okay, now moving on to, as many folks are aware, we are actually complete now, completed with the Performing Arts and Event Center. It'll be opened up on August 19th, and the park was done last year. Immediately to the east of where the Performing Arts and Event Center is, and halfway to the old and closed out Target, is a slice of property, about 1.86 acres of the 7.5 acres that the City Council agreed to sell a few weeks ago. I've asked Ryan Call to come up here, brief the council and the community about the status of that sale for the purposes of a hotel pad. Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor. And as you said, the sale has closed. Most of my remarks are actually to address the confusion that some have had about exactly what properties were sold and what the monies were and how they're being apportioned as to the PAC and the Target property. But just as highlights of the closing of the sale closed Friday. We had, well, I guess it closed Monday. We spent some total, our share of the closing costs were about $1,750, so $1,750. There were some questions the council had about if there was some sort of percentage or of the profit that might go to someone else. No, that is not the case. All of our costs were simple professional costs for the escrow agent and filing costs to record the documents. So as to the question of exactly what we sold and what we got for it, I have 4 slides. The first one is the original configuration of the property. So in blue, we have the Performing Arts Center as it originally was configured, and the Target property, which is the large green block. We reconfigured those properties for this sale and for a future staircase in this fashion. So the PAC property, you'll notice the property line of the PAC was slightly adjusted to the west to create that little jog over in the purple lot. So that section of the PAC property was taken and added to the new lot, and then everything else came from the Target property. And then the staircase was previously sold. Basically, we bought it from ourselves to dedicate it as right-of-way for a future staircase. By the numbers, the original Target lot was 7.48 acres, roughly, and that comes out to the 325,129 square feet. We purchased it for a total of $8.2 million, which comes out roughly to $25.16 per square foot. We sold the newly created lot that had a little chunk of the PAC property and quite a bit of the Target property. All told, that when you combine them together, it's 1.86 acres of the new hotel pad that will be right next door to the Performing Arts Center. We sold it for a total of $2,187,756. That's a total of $27 per square foot. So we did sell it at a modest profit. More importantly, there were considerable conditions that we outlined at the last council meeting that the property must be used to develop a hotel, and the hotel is pretty well defined. It needs to be of a certain make, more moderate, not your lower brand hotel brands, but a middle to upper scale hotel. And we have a lot of easement rights where we can continue to have pedestrian traffic flow across both properties, so there's an exchange of pedestrian traffic from both the Target property and the Performing Arts Center property and the stair. The 1.86 acres, this is how it was broken down. We had 68,000 square feet and change that came from the TC3 parcel and 12,440.5 square feet that came from the PAC parcel. So when we break down, basically, because we bonded out part of the Target, or the Target purchase, the money from that bond needs to go back, any profit we made needs to go back to recall part of that bond. So 84.6% of the sale proceeds, or $1,850,000, will go to the TC3 bond, and 15.4% of the proceeds, or $336,000, will be applied to the Performing Arts Center. So that's the breakdown of what we did with the money and how the property was apportioned. Are there any questions?
Very good. Council, any questions on that? When we were at management team, every Monday, everyone, so every Monday in that room right there, we have all of the department directors and key members of my staff meet, and we go around the table and talk about the highlights. When I learned that the closing had occurred, that the money was essentially in transit into our accounts, and that a lot of people, it dawned on me that a lot of people may not realize all the intricacies of this and the exciting news of the hotel that'll be paid for with private dollars. But this will really, you're not going to recognize your downtown in a very short period of time. We're literally, thanks to the partnership with the council, we're literally in the process of remaking our downtown. And so I wanted to let you know, especially the square footage price as well. So I wanted to make sure, let you know, it's all done. And council, any questions about that? Okay, staircase is next, and then the next thing, thank you very much. And then the next thing we're going to be working on is the sale of the TC3 Town Center 3 property, the old Target. That'll eventually get knocked down. And then we're going to be working on that staircase, which again will create, right now there's this, used to be this big gray wall. And in a very short period of time, with grant funding that we've been able to leverage and put together, there's going to be essentially an amphitheater type of staircase that'll again create this sense of place. So with that, let's turn now to the Performing Arts and Event Center ribbon cutting on August 19th at 11 a.m. and opening gala rain on Saturday. I'm stepping all over your lead, aren't I? Sorry. Executive Director Theresa Yvonne, for what I haven't said.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Farrell, public. Thank you for being here. You did mention amphitheater type stairs, so that immediately made me think of concerts and things that we could do on the stairs. Don't get me going. But first, before we do any of that, we have a ribbon cutting on Saturday, August 19th. I hope to see all of you there. 11 a.m. We're cutting the ribbon at the front doors, and then we're all coming into the facility. We've got things going on inside the facility all day long. Obviously, we're open from 11 to 5. It's free. Everybody come down. Savor, our food and beverage manager, is on board, so we'll have a little bit of nosh for everybody to taste. We're going to have guided tours every 30 minutes. You'll get to go through the facility. Live entertainment all day long. So Federal Way Chorale, the Federal Way Symphony, the Harmony Kings, Jet Cities Chorus, Tacoma City Ballet, and then closing out the day with Steinway artist James Jelassic and tenor John Lackey. And then in the Baquette room, we have Book It. That's going to be set up, to explain, that's going to be set up as a lecture style hall. And so we have Book It Theater coming down. They're the first in our Arts for Youth program. They'll be coming in October and doing a performance that's intended for the schools of Ada's Violin. So all the students that come to that performance will actually get a book when they leave the facility. So they're going to be talking about what they're going to be doing in October with us. King County Library will be there for story time, and then Valerie Segrist, traditional food educator, will be there talking to us. And then closing out that afternoon, of course, is our Washington State Poet Laureate, Todd Marshall. And then we're going to have a little bit of open mic night to finish off the day in that room. And then in our west lobby, we'll have the Youth Symphony, Tacoma City Ballet, and the Limelight Performing Arts going on all day long. Oh, hey, sorry, I should have done this one because it's easier to read, huh? Sorry. So, there, now you guys can all read with me what I just did for you. But live entertainment all day long. Please come down. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful day, and you'll get to walk through the facility and see everything that's going on. We're getting ready right now. The bow's being made. The piano player's on hold. The flowers have been ordered. It's all ready to go. And then immediately following that, we have our first Gala fundraiser with our nonprofit partner, the Performing Arts Foundation. We're doing Rain in tribute to the Beatles. I know some of you have already seen this, but it just doesn't get tiring.
With Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, we hope you will enjoy the show. Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, sit back and let the evening go. They say you want a revolution.
If I could hold a tune, I would have sang along with that. I can play it, but I can't sing along with it. So I hope that some of you can join us for that. It's going to be a great evening. The dinner and tickets and the show, dinner and show, we only have 300 tickets for dinner and show because that's the maximum we can have in our event space. Those are going very quickly, so I'm kind of warning folks, we're just about sold out on that, but we do have single tickets for the show only, and we promise to feed you dessert on the way back out. So please come join us for a show, and we're going to have a little psychedelic after party following that. So, and please come for the 19th. Thank you.
I don't think I was told about the psychedelic after party. I'm not sure that's on the agenda. Oh, okay. All right. Never mind.
Well, it's all good.
We'll talk tomorrow. All right. Oh, Theresa, tell me
It's
about...
for the young folks.
Okay.
I have young volunteers on the committee, and she said, okay, so the show's over at 10:30. What are we doing? Oh, you want to keep going?
This is going to be really a community place, and there's going to be the ability to show movies in there as well. Tell them what's going to happen the very next day
I'm sorry.
after the ribbon cutting.
So at the next day, I kind of forget about this. I'm sorry.
After the ribbon cutting.
After the ribbon cutting on the 20th, we're going to have a movie day. So we're just it's kind of more quiet. You can just stroll. We're not going to have guided tours, but you can come and look and stroll through the facility, and then we're going to show a movie at 3 o'clock. So please come if you're not into crowds and like busy, everything going on everywhere. You just want to come, take a look at the facility, sit down, watch a movie in the afternoon. We're going to have a movie on Sunday the 20th. It seemed kind of rude to open the building and then have it closed the next day. So.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job. Now, there are a lot of people in the audience, that many people in our community that had a lot to do with the creation of the Performing Arts and Event Center, and there are many things to go around. But we've got two very special people in this room, in the back of the room, that were down in the legislature and made sure that we got the funding necessary. We've been able to, with the $366,000 that we just got from that sale, we now have crested over $24.2 million that we've raised toward the Performing Arts and Event Center. We've got Senator Mark Milosha in the back and former State Representative Linda Kochmar. Would you guys please rise? So they've been hard at it. And oh, that's right. The movie, Martin has asked, what movie are they showing at the Performing Arts and Event Center? It'll be Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Oh, yeah. So that's kind of fun. And we've been doing movies in the park, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But John's next. So John, why don't you come on up? We're going to talk about, let's do movies in the park first, and then we'll talk about, kind of what happens next. But we have movies in the park. John, let's do that first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Council. I am excited to announce that we're doing our second movie of the year this year out at Town Square Park, right below the Performing Arts and Event Center. This is on August 26th, Saturday night. It starts at 8 o'clock. Remember, the last one started at 9. We base it on sunset times. So it is an 8 o'clock start, and we are showing Pete's Dragon. This is completely free popcorn. We want to see you out there, and I can seat over 3,000 people. So that's, we got great seating for up to 3,000. So come on out.
Wow. Just throwing the gauntlet down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And we've been showing kids movies at these, and the Cha Bang Bang is really sort of the first entree into maybe sort of retro movies. We're going to have all kinds of different movies at the park and movies at the PAC, and really, really focus on the community. Okay, so then next, let's now talk about cooling centers.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Mayor. We are operating in this hot weather streak that we're having. We've done this many, many times throughout the summer since the community center has opened. We are operating as a cooling center, so those people who don't have air conditioning or need to get out of the hot weather, they're welcome to come and be in the public spaces within the community center. That is free. It's essentially the lobby area of the community center. We would encourage you to go swimming and really cool off. That is not included in this, but we would love to have you come and use the community center. The facility is air conditioned with the exception of the gyms, and you're in there to sweat anyway. So we would love to have you, and we're open every day through the hot weather. 85 and above, you're welcome to come on in, and you're welcome to come in anytime, but if you are hot, come on in, sit in the lobby, cool off, and enjoy yourself.
And I mentioned the movies. We've already had one movie in the park in Town Square Park this year with our 40-foot screen, and that was the movie Sing. And we had several hundred kids and their families, and it was just this a really fun community event. We had several council members there as well. So thank you, John.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, great work. Okay, well, we've got some important business to get into just in regard to finalizing my report. We had a great community event with the Kiwanis Salmon Bake. Nearly 1,000 people. I'm sure several people here will talk about that. And it was at Steel Lake Park. It was just a beautiful event, beautiful day, and close to 1,000 people there, if not more. I mentioned the Town Square Park movie. We had National Night Out. As you could see, there were so many pictures to choose from of great community events. We're doing a slideshow, and we had National Night Out on last Tuesday. That's why our council meeting this week is the second meeting of the week, because National Night Out is on the 1st, and we moved our council meeting to accommodate that. We had our first ever use of Town Square Park, or central location, but we kept over 30 locations throughout the community for National Night Out, and it was a great opportunity for law enforcement, fire department personnel, council, and the community to talk about really linking up arms and coming together as a community. It was great, and I got some great fried chicken as a result. All right, we had International Friendship Day this past Sunday. That was great, Town Square Park. I'm sure some of the folks up here are going to talk about that during their reports. And the Lions Club Car Show is coming up on Saturday, August 26th. That's usually a great event. Okay, now let's get to the most important part of the evening, which is citizen comment. First, as I mentioned before, we have our State Senator Mark Milosha. Senator Milosha, would you come on up for your comments? And these are 3-minute comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As many of you know, I've been working on this issue that now you'll be addressing here tonight involving the heroin safe injection sites. I went up and visited the InSite, the center that's located in Vancouver, British Columbia, and what I saw was fairly shocking. What you would see if we open up one of these sites here in Federal Way is what I saw there that day. Literally 100 folks lined out outside, looked like they just walked out of a concentration camp. Young, old, men, women. I felt they were literally dying on the street. I saw drugs being passed. I saw heroin being injected. I saw drugs being sold, all out in the open in front of this building in the heart of Vancouver, BC. I was shocked. What happens if we have a site like this in Federal Way the same thing will happen here. Federal Way will become literally, and I hate to say this, a dumping ground for the county and for this country if we go down this path. This path means, and many of the advocates are very clear, they want to legalize and decriminalize heroin use. We need more treatment. We need better treatment. We need to get people and individuals to off these drugs, not supply them like they see in Canada or Copenhagen, where actually now they're supplying taxpayer-supplied, supported, free heroin. And what is the ultimate result of all this? The death rate of overdose in this, what is frankly the biggest experiment, the most radical change in drug policy since Prohibition, is 3 times the death rate. That's the fact. 3 times the death rate, and you and the taxpayers will be supplying the heroin. Is that what we want in Federal Way? I was unable to stop it in Olympia with my bills, but now we have an opportunity to stop it here in Federal Way, though I'm afraid they'll do what you saw earlier, maybe put it at 265th Street, right outside Federal Way. That's my fear right now. I'm hearing sounds and rumors that they want to put a site in South King County. With that being said, please vote to prohibit this injection site here in Federal Way. Thank you all.
Thank you, Senator. That is one of the reasons that I haven't had a chance to explain this, that the first iteration of the proposed ban actually just concentrated on the city itself, but we also added a provision for the unincorporated to ask the King County not to have it in the unincorporated areas. And I consulted with our King County Council person, Pete von Reichbauer, and he concurred with that and asked, literally, he and I concurred about that before we made the changes. And I provided that to council for their review before this meeting. Okay, why don't I give 3 names so we can kind of go and everybody can get on deck. We've got Anthony Paglioccio, and then Anna Patrick, and then after Anna, Lisa Tinsley. Anthony?
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members, thank you for this time. My name is Tony Pagliocco, resident of Federal Way. I've spoken here before on the issues of homelessness and drugs and my fear of it becoming a blight on our city. We currently live in a city full of potential, and I trust and believe in the leadership that stands before me. But tonight I'm concerned for the safety of our residents. After reading online that we were being considered as a location for a safe heroin injection site, I was immediately alarmed. And let me note, I want to express my thanks to Councilman Moore for immediately jumping on this and responding online to get to the bottom of this. The thought of having safe heroin injection sites in our city concerns me. It concerns me enough that I come here tonight to ask you to support the safety of our residents by keeping it out of our city. Let's be blunt. We have enough problems in our city right now. Every city is facing problems right now, and it's not an easy time for a lot of people. With our city on the cusp of so many great things, this would set us back much further than we think. Earlier tonight, we had a great presentation by Economic Development Director Tim Johnson about growing business opportunities. Let me ask you, who's going to want to invest money in our city with safe heroin injection? Nobody. If we're going to enable heroin addiction, what's next? Special roads for drunk driving? Supervised garages to chop cars? Let's be real. This is enabling the breaking of the law under the guise of treatment. There are many different kinds of addiction, alcohol, gambling, drugs, and such, but you do not solve a problem by making it legal to do so. Our law enforcement officers put their lives on the line every day for us, and this will make their job more difficult, and it will make things more difficult for everyone. There are many other areas they can be focusing on to make Federal Way a safer place to live. Addicts coming to our city to break the law legally around our schools, our children, and our residents, no thank you. Do not confuse my straightforward talk with without having a lack of empathy. I've had family members and friends who've battled drug addiction. It's a war, and it's a war that takes a lot to win. I support programs and treatment to help people who battle addiction, but there are proven ways backed by data and statistics that are far more manageable and successful. You win a war by fighting it, not enabling it. It's time for Federal Way to make a statement and pass this resolution. Thank you.
Anna Patrick.
Hi, thank you for calling me up, Anna Patrick. I've lived in Federal Way for 20 years, and I'm not going to talk about the heroin injection sites because I think that it speaks for itself. We've had enough comments about that, and I'm sure we'll have more. I do have some other concerns I'm going to raise. So first I'll talk about the single-family homes being converted into vacation homes. An example is a 970 square foot house converted into 8 bedrooms with shared bathroom and kitchen. Urgent needs are as follows. I'm just going to be really quick about this, and I just want to raise these urgent needs for all of us to be aware of. Okay, I think we need to limit the number of occupants due to fire code, first and foremost. We need to limit the number of cars due to garbage pickup, parking for all homes in the neighborhood, and students need to walk to school. They need a safe place to walk. We need to limit the number of unrelated families. We need to address public nuisance issues with unknown residents who come and go and stay at a house that is set up basically like a motel, storing items in yards and even on the roof, coming and going all hours of the day and night, and entering through a real estate lockbox, police activity, and arrests. We need to address the property tax issue. If we add more people to a house and we're only collecting the property tax that we're collecting, we add more need to the schools, more need with public safety issues, but no extra property tax. We need to maintain the stock of single-family homes with an increase of multifamily homes already happening. We need to define or revise rules to prevent exploitation, perhaps implement a rental registry. We need other housing options such as maybe pods or something that's just a room for people to live in. Obviously, people aren't able to even afford the affordable housing. So that's that issue. I have another issue, and I'm going to be brief. Multifamily affordable housing, such as Bellevue-based Devco, Uptown Square, Park 16, Kids Corner. We're not getting any property tax. Can I keep going?
You've got 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. We need a balance throughout the county of affordable housing. It seems we're getting a lot of it here, and it's not creating a balance here in our community. All cities need to bear the burden of this huge need. Contact your county representative. We all need to bring this up. It's a complaint-based need that will be addressed.
Thank you, Anna. Okay, and Lisa Tinsley.
Hello, thank you for inviting me. I'll be brief as well. I do echo the remarks of Senator Malosha and do appreciate all the work that he's done on these safe injection sites. I couldn't help but notice as this gentleman, when we were watching the economic development piece, that why would people want to come here? Would you add that to the video? Oh, by the way, we have safe injection sites. So, and I did a little bit of looking at some articles that the Seattle Times has written for what they're worth. But even the Canadians, this has been an experiment for them. There's no real statistics that state that this has been a success at all. And a blurb that I take from there say, critics in Canada have tried for years to shut down the safe injection sites, saying it doesn't address underlying problems and enables addiction. They liken it to giving alcoholics clean shot glasses. That was the quote. So I do oppose them. I do have empathy for the people. I know that they are brothers and sisters and our children, and that there does need to be help for them, but I do not feel that a safe injection site in our city or any other city in the United States is a good idea.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, the next three, we've got Len England, Sue Peterson, and Richard Pearson.
Mayor Farrell, members of the council, my name is Len England, and I live in the PAA, the Potential Annexation Area of Federal Way. I just want to tell you that heroin is a scourge. It's the closest thing to the devil I've ever seen. A person in full addiction is totally unpredictable. Theft, manipulation, lying, bad choices, assaults, the list goes on. Once a person is addicted, it's nearly impossible for them to recover on their own. The drugs put them in a place where their sole daily function is to get more drugs, just to keep from getting sick. A recovering addict once told me that right after he shot up, he felt dirty inside and out. Every single time, just completely dirty. Addiction is a complex disease. Those afflicted often suffer from mental illnesses such as bipolar or schizophrenia. They're trying to feel normal and to stop the extreme highs and lows of bipolar disease, or trying to make the unwanted voices and apparitions of schizophrenia go away. Addiction manifests itself in bad behavior. Coincidentally, so does Alzheimer's, but no one would ever consider ignoring the health needs of an Alzheimer's patient. Safe injection sites will not help the addicted seek recovery. It will simply kick the can of recovery down the road and enable behavior that eventually ends in death. I'm asking you tonight to place a ban on injection sites in Federal Way and the PAA. I notice it is in the resolution. Thank you very much. And if you want to do one better, codify it. Make it part of your laws. And ask that the funds already earmarked for injection sites be dedicated to recovery and intervention efforts, as well as better and quicker access to treatment options. That's a real serious problem. Inside every addict is a trapped soul who needs help and treatment for the addiction and mental illness that torment them. Their lives are worth saving. Never give up on the addict. Where there's life, there's hope. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Len.
And with the time I have left, I'll put in a shameless plug for all the water and sewer lines that you get, for your new hotel. That Lake Haven Water and Sewer District established those things a couple of years ago. So
thank you, Len.
You wouldn't.
Len's a Lake Haven Water Commissioner. All right, thank you for your service, Len. Sue Peterson, and then Richard Pearson.
Mayor Farrell and the council members, a few thoughts that I've had just over the last week or two. The first one is, I applaud Tim Johnson's video. I think it's very nice, but I too have a suggestion. You must add to that video the number 1,300 airplanes going over your head every day here in Federal Way. That has got to change. Our quality of life is threatened by the number of aircraft, the emissions, the cancer-causing agents that rain down on every one of you every day that you are outside of your home, and I presume some goes inside. It is really serious. They've done a study up at SeaTac, the city of SeaTac, where there are 2 women in their 40s who have been diagnosed with MS. Those women, did a rather expensive urine test, and they found that there were numerous chemical agents in their urine specimens. Those chemical agents only come from aircraft emissions. So please add that to your video. I think it's going to turn Federal Way into a slum. I live in a nice neighborhood. There are homes for sale there. Those homes are not selling because anybody who comes to look at them can see the bottoms of the 747s. At night, we listen to these cargo planes that are unbelievable. You think they're going to hit your house. It's very serious. Then you add the potential of safe injection sites. Safe for who? It's not safe for our children to have a number of addicts trying to inject heroin and then the repercussions of that. I know in my own family a person that is addicted to heroin. They not only have taken themselves down, but they have taken their entire families down. Their families lose everything to try and cope with this illness. And I empathize. We have tried treatment. We have tried counseling. This person will not. He knows everything. He can take care of it all. And that is such a fallacy. We need to protect our city. We need to protect our city from what's flying over our heads. We just can't. And I've asked both you and Yarden countless times, what are you doing? And I get the answer that you're working behind the scenes. maybe the citizens need to know what they can do, and there's no word out there telling all of you that you need to call the port and complain. Thank you.
All right, Sue, thank you. Actually, Richard, hold on. Sue, just FYI, we actually did have the 2 regional task forces and our own task force come give a report on television to the entire city council, to the community. We actually, just today, you were talking about one of the reasons why the task force that I created earlier this year, we call it the Safe and Quiet Skies, because we are taking a look at the fuel and the fuel emissions. And just today, yesterday, I sent the email to the University of Washington and the doctors and the folks that are looking at those emissions, and asked them to appoint the chair of our task force to that legislative funded study to determine the health impacts of that. So it's something that you mentioned. Yarden Weidenfeld, if you could raise your hand. Yarden Weidenfeld is our senior policy advisor. This is something that we are working very closely on. We've got people throughout the community that are working on how we can address increased traffic, air traffic noise, and work with our partner cities and with these other task forces. So it's something we work on every day here at the city, so on your behalf. So I just want to provide that information. Richard?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members, ladies and gentlemen. In the interest of brevity, I paraphrase from the 1994 concomitant pre-annexation zoning agreement preface recitals to the effect that the former Weyerhaeuser Corporate Park 1 zone has unique natural features which will ensure development while maintaining the quality of the area. Indeed, these zoning document recitals have been reiterated in earlier council submitted statements from John Creighton, the 1994 president and CEO of Weyerhaeuser and chairman of the board, George Weyerhaeuser. The corporate park zone established by the agreement permitted such uses as corporate offices, parks, and research and development testing as extensions of the activities then ongoing on the property, along with uses as a trade center, public transit shelter, and demonstration forest uses. Unfortunately, production and light assembly of goods and warehousing and distribution were also specified, and it appears that the current owners are focusing their efforts on these uses without adequately recognizing the introductory recitals at the beginning of the annexation agreement with the city to preserve the unique natural features of the site while maintaining the quality of the area. I believe a holistic cumulative impact analysis and landscape plan for the entire corporate park zone needs to be required by the city to ensure that the unique natural features and quality of the area is maintained before a piecemealing individual approval of building permit application results in 5 additional facilities with more than 1,000 semi-trucks and trailers and 500 additional cars navigating through our already overcrowded federal way streets and highways. Respectfully submitted, Richard Pearson, Save Weyerhaeuser Campus Board Member.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, and we're working on those issues every day. All right, so next 3 up. Karen Osby, David Freeman, and Dana Holloway. So Karen Osby?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I came to talk about this safe injection site, but it kind of is a mute thing, and I really don't have anything more to add than what has been said, except for one thing that has not been said. I want to know where these people are getting their drugs. They're stealing from us. And in having these injection sites, we're not only encouraging their illegal activity with the drugs, they're stealing from us. And where we live, right on the corner, and Doug has complained many times about this, we have a dealer, and it's a steady stream, of cars, and he's also a fence. And he has all of this merchandise out there that people bring, and we see him bringing and, dropping it off. How he gets rid of it, I don't know. And I don't know how we get them out of the neighborhood, but they're there. So those were, I guess, two of the things that haven't been mentioned. But should it go through, and I shared this with Deanie and with Susan, that if this were to go through, which I think is a bad idea anyplace, I don't smoke anymore, but I might take up smoking again, and I want a restaurant where I can go in and I can smoke before my meal, during my meal, and after my meal. And I don't drink, but I want to be able to go into a bar and have that drink. So this is just asinine, and I don't know where this has come from, but my girlfriend in North Dakota, they're facing this same issue of wanting these safe injection sites. How does this stuff get started? Anyway, that's it. And the airplane noise, please. Doug and I were out painting today. Every 60 to 70 seconds, a plane was going over our house. And I'm about ready to go. So I would like to see something done. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Well, I just don't see how it's legal. I mean, that's, as a former prosecutor of 19 years, it's not legal, and anyway, we'll save it for the debate. But David Freeman, and then Dana Holloway.
I honestly didn't come prepared to discuss the safe injection sites. I'm just here with a economic stimulus pitch I've been drafting. Works in two parts. First one is meritocratic tax breaks on whatever business doesn't use the penny, the nickel, or the dime. Strongest breaks for discontinuing the penny, then the nickel, then the dime, in that order, because larger out-of-town businesses like Walmart and Starbucks will not affect their prices just to accommodate one city, so that makes local businesses able to lower their prices by 24 cents a product and receive benefits by not paying as much in whatever taxes you choose to attach to this. So they have a little bit less overhead and more competitive prices. Whole countries like Canada, Britain, Israel, Sweden, and others have already discontinued producing their pennies, and some of them their nickels, because it costs more to produce than the penny and nickel are worth. And whole chains like Chipotle have already rounded down their prices to avoid the penny. That was my inspiration for this. The other was it's a tax on campaign donations exceeding $50. A popular method for people like the Koch brothers to assert their will in places where they don't live is to fund campaigns of politicians who will do whatever they want and will subsequently not represent their base or their voters. I was thinking something that would really irritate out-of-town political action committees, like, say, a 250% tax, but somehow I think that's a little unrealistic. I'm not sure how much, but I do want to say adjust for inflation on whatever the cap is. I wrote down $50, but inflation is just going to keep weakening the dollar and raising prices and stuff that needs to be spent. So, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Dana Holloway, and then Jim Stiles, Jennifer Tankowitz, and Bob Woolley.
Good evening. There's always enough topics to talk about in these meetings, and so I have three. First of all, am in support of your resolution for opposing the ejection sites. So thank you for that. There's been a lot of activity on social media about that. Citizens are definitely against it, so thank you. I'm thanking you already, even though you haven't voted for it yet. Second, would like to repeat what I used to say almost a year ago, that the former Weyerhaeuser property is zoned as corporate park. It's not zoned for industrial use, and so massive warehouses are not appropriate and should not be allowed on that internationally known headquarters and landscaped campus. So I look forward to our community development people and our planning people to prevent that. And lastly, I add my voice to the problem that we have with the increased airplanes, the noise and the pollution. I encourage more activity from the city of Federal Way too. I like what you said to Susan. We're all experiencing it now. When you leave this meeting tonight, you'll see them going right over this city council hall. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, Jim Stiles.
Mayor Farrell, council, audience, all you folks at home, all the ships at sea, go on like that. That's a good discussion, a good laying out of the issues tonight. One, I think Len brought up the point of resolution's a good thing. Why isn't this going to be codified? There should be a ban on this in the city. I realize you can't ban something outside the city limits. That's where a resolution would be useful. But you have the power to do something to let people know that I agree with several of the people who talked about the fact that safe injection sites not only are not safe for anybody, not for the addicts, not for the residents of the area, but it really, what it creates is a no-go zone for the rest of humanity. If you go into places like this, where in Vancouver, and see people passed out on the street doing the ones who are not passed out on the street doing drugs in public, fencing stolen items in public so they can get the money to why wait to go to the safe injection site when you can get loaded right there on the street, and they're doing it now. If that's the kind of future you want to have for this city, or any city in King County, or unincorporated areas of King County, if we want to be able to say, okay, we're just going to write off this percentage of the population because they have a disease, because they have a powerful addiction to something that focuses their whole lives and causes them to do all kinds of amazing things on their way to death. And we're all going to die. We can't legislate against that, but we can stop people from killing themselves by enabling them to do what is causing their death. And the idea of somehow mainstreaming this behavior, making this just an alternative lifestyle, is ludicrous. It's unconscionable. And it is illegal. Abetting the commission of a felony is illegal. Where in the name of God do these people get the idea that somehow we want to reduce the incidence of other diseases by having clean needles or safe places? We haven't had anybody die in a safe injection site. They're proud of that. Well, that's great, but they had almost 1,000 people die of drug overdoses in Vancouver last year, and guess what? You ain't seen nothing yet. This year, it's going to be up 60 or 70% over that. What are they doing to help stem that problem? You can't write off people because they have this problem. We got to help them, and this is not the way to do it anywhere, but especially not in Federal Way. Thank you.
And Jim, to answer your question, the King County Council passed a resolution that says they will not cite any of these locations in cities that say they do not want them. So our approach has been that. Right. So that's why it's in the form of a resolution. If we got wind that they would try to do this over our objection, you can bet we would do something about that. Jennifer Tankowitz, and then Bob Woolley.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you, Martin. My name's Jennifer, and I'm a little bit of a different voice. I'm a mother of 3 adult kids, and 2 of them battle addiction to heroin. And it has been a part of our life for almost 10 years. And I am here just to speak on the fact that this is not a solution to help our children. I have one son who is 27 years old and is continuing to use heroin. He lives in Seattle in a home that allows it to take place. It's not encouraged, but they just kind of don't want to know about it. So it keeps him right there. My daughter, she was clean for 2 years just recently and fell back into addiction, and I had to let her go. So she was living on the streets here in Federal Way until basically everything was taken from her except for the shoes on her feet. And it was only at that time that she reached out to me and said, I don't want to do this anymore. And she found help. She found a place she could get into. The problem is when a drug addict wants help, they want help right now. I'm saying like within 10 minutes. If you lose that opportunity, you've lost them again. And they die again and again. So for me, I have all kinds of ideas as to how we could actually use this money to benefit, to help, to set up Uber drivers that know how, okay, somebody needs help, boom, I'm there. I pick them up, I take them to the detox center. Goodbye, good luck. Now the detox center takes them, then they go from there on to long-term recovery, not a 30-day recovery. You can take the drug out, but there is so much more that happens with this drug. It changes the way their minds think. It's not about just take out. It's what do we replace it with? How do we help them live again? We cannot expect them to come back out and get a job, go to school, have a car, go get groceries, pay bills. They don't have the cognitive ability anymore, but they want more for their life. An injection site gives no hope to the hopeless. I want to give hope to people. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Bob Woolley, then Sandy Tankowitz, and then Gloria Larry.
Citizens of Federal Way, and I should add the Boy Scouts of Federal Way. Councilman, Deputy Mayor, Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I've stayed here many times. I'm asking for 3 minutes and 3 seconds. Pick up your gavel and gavel me off of the podium after 3 minutes and 3 seconds.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
My issue is Lake Jean. My issue is Twin Lakes. My issue is Joe's Creek. It has been before the City Council for 18 months. It's been with Yardon for 10 months. It's been before the city for a year. Last year's National Night Out, 2 years ago on the 3rd of August, it was brought to the mayor's attention and Marwan responded. It's time to do something about the health hazard that exists in Twin Lakes. A litigation update. A month ago, Yardon gave his presentation. Mr. Mayor, you had acknowledged that we were almost to success with the litigation. The final hearing was supposed to have been last Friday. It was postponed because there's been no agreement by the parties. I'm not sure there's going to be a stipulated agreement. Judge Schubert may have to issue his edict. My litigation has been postponed until after Judge Schubert renders his decision. My issue that started way back in November has been put on hold to take advantage of what the King County Court is going to do for the plaintiffs that are in a lawsuit with the club. On the 1st of August, the same day as National Night Out, the first significant algae bloom occurred on Lake Jean for the season. It was tested and analyzed. The same day, a sample was taken on North Lake that proved to be more toxic than Lake Jean. The toxicity is on its way. I want to pay my respect to Yardon. Yardon's card. Senior Policy Advisor to the Mayor, please.
Of course. Go ahead, Bob.
And to the City Council. You know I'm an engaging person. I'm a direct person. I have not encountered anybody since I retired from the military 27 years ago that has been as accommodating and has done as well as anyone I know of, and I commend Yardon's efforts to the council and to the citizens. He's a valuable asset that does work behind the scenes. Yardon, we've engaged. I want our engagement to end. I want to be your friend. You have cultivated me, and I've cultivated you. That's a very good thing. Mr. Mayor, Councilman, it's time for the report. We need the report. There's a lot of facts in the report. The report is the key to unleashing the solution that we've searched for 2 years. It's overdue. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you for the extra time.
Yes, sir.
I have my blue hat on. On the 4th of July, I picked up this sticker. It says, I love voting. I put it on my hat as an adornment because I love voting in federal way. Mr. Mayor, I have 2 hats. This is my battle hat. I'm prepared to do battle if necessary.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As is your obligation as a citizen. Absolutely. All right, the report, you guys, the report that he's referring to is Yardon's been hard at work since this is the first thing we had him working on. His report is north of 60 pages now. He's in the final draft stages, and he and I were talking, we should have it by, this is about the Lake Jean situation, algae bloom, and what is one of the more vexing legal, political issues I've ever encountered. And Yardon and I both worked at the King County Prosecutor's Office. He'll have his report, Bob, he'll have his report done by end of next week and have it out. That's my word, all right? So.
Mayor, you do not have to deliver to me. I will come to City Hall.
All right. Yes, sir. All right, sounds good. I just don't know which hat you're going to wear. All right, Sandy Tankowitz, and then Gloria Larry.
Hi, I'm Sandy Tankowitz, and I am here to speak against the safe injection sites. I, too, have a daughter who battles heroin addiction, and am the grandmother to 3 little girls whose parents battle heroin addiction. The problem I have with the safe injection sites, one of them, is that I'm asked as a mother to do what is almost impossible as a mother to do, which is to not enable my child. And then the government comes along and wants to enable my child. So I can't give her a safe place to use drugs in my home because I know that that is not going to end well for her. It doesn't. You talk to addicts. Addicts that stay at home and use drugs die. The way that they get help is to have a place to go to immediately. The second they ask for help, they've got a detox facility that can take them in right away. When you're on the phone making phone calls and you're telling this hopeful person who's hopeful for maybe 2 hours, maybe less, that they can maybe change their lives, and you're on the phone and you can't find a place to get them in for a day, 2 days, 2 weeks, they're gone. they're gone, they're using again, and who knows when that time is going to happen again, where they're going to have that little window that you pray. Trust me, an atheist would pray every day that their child would come to this decision. And so what I ask is that the city and whoever else has any means would look into immediate detox facilities, immediate treatment, and yes, 30 days is a joke for most addicts. I mean, that's why they go back and back and back and back. It's not enough time. And the mental health illness issue that comes along with the whole problem, which leads to the homeless problem, and it's all one big, gigantic mess. So anyway, I just beg of you to deny this. Thank you.
Thank you. Gloria Larry, and then Suzanne Vargo, and then our last comment is Betty Taylor. Gloria?
Good afternoon, Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Burbridge, City Council, and fellow citizens. I'm here once again to request that, to talk about my concerns about what's going on in city government. I've found personally that there is corruption, conflict of interest, nepotism within the city councils. Not everybody, but there is a select group of people involved. Federal Way Police, Tacoma Police, Fircrest Police, and Seattle Police all work together to help their brothers in blue. I have, the first time I came here to speak, I was asked what I wanted by one of the council members. And I told her I'm here to observe and to learn how to speak to the council. 3 to 4 days later, I had a $500 blower stolen from my garage. And so to me, that message was stay away and shut your mouth. What I'm complaining about is the corruption between a select group of people here, elected and appointed officials here in the city government, and a corporation that sold out, my former employer. Every time I complain, there's retaliation and harassment. Last week, I returned from a vacation and found that a member of my family had been what they call pistol whipped. I didn't know what that is, but it means that someone took a gun and put it in his face and took his jewelry. Prior to that, a family member was harassed on the job and was called out of his name. I won't use, it's the N-word. He was expelled for 2 days on the job for going after this individual. He's a young person, so he doesn't know any better. We talked to him about it. I know for a fact that there are propaganda stories, propaganda lies out there about me and my family, and it's part of a cover-up. It all has to do with me speaking out against a select group of police officers and city council members. And I'm telling the truth. I have no reason to make up stories about what's going on. My house has been broken into, furniture damage, and when I say broken into, I mean locks have been picked, garage doors have been picked. I had a motor home, and that's been picked, and the locks have been picked on that, and the cabinets inside have been scratched up. And so there's a lot going on, and I am absolutely positive that someone here working for me, you're working for me. I'm a citizen. I've lived here for a very long time. You people know, there's a select group of you people who know what's going on. So I'm asking you to end this before someone gets hurt or injured.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Larry.
All right.
Okay. Suzanne Vargo, and then Betty Taylor. And I don't have any more pink sheets, so if anybody else wants to talk, please turn in a pink sheet. Suzanne?
Hi. I'm going to do the same speech I did for the transit because there's a lot of people here. And I'd just like to say to the lady who just spoke, kudos to you. That's a pretty brave thing to do, and we need to acknowledge it. Tonight, I would like to address the light rail and the maintenance facility that is planned for the parcel of land just off of South 360th Street and South 28th Avenue. This piece of land is zoned residential, because I live there. It is a protected waterway, and of course, it's part of the East Highlabos. And I went back to saving the Weyerhaeuser campus letters that I wrote nearly a year ago, and I'm finding myself having to repeat the same thing again. So we'll start at the beginning, and that the piece of land has a hazardous, petroleum, corrosive, aged out petroleum pipeline running through it. It exists through already established native wetlands, and so to disrupt it, to put a maintenance facility of 30 acres plus is not a great idea. We didn't want North Lake to become Whatcom County and Whatcom Creek. We don't want any happenings with this precarious pipeline, so I don't think that the maintenance facility is a great spot for that. The east branch of the Highlabos does run through this property. Of course, that's why I'm talking about it. It receives its flow from the headwaters of North Lake at Weyerhaeuser. So I'm not sure what the purpose is to save the headwaters with Forterra if just a half a mile down the road there no longer will be the Highlabos. The piece of land was on a landfill back in the 30s and 40s. This is a concern. I'm questioning King County's approval to put in a residential area so close to the methanol gas. In fact, all of the homeowners were asked to sign a waiver of knowledge that they knew the landfill was there. This was done after they purchased their homes. Weekly studies have been conducted over all of these years to ensure our community safety. And homeowners, yeah, I did that. In 1968, a voter approved $443,000 to build a park in this residential area. I've asked council, I want to know where that money is gone and what was used and done with it in its place. There were a couple here. I put out some flyers yesterday, and there was a couple here. And I just got a text saying that that land, when they got home, they went and walked it. He said there are hundreds of overgrowth trees that are marked and tagged, and there is orange spray paint all over the ground. So would we be able to look into that and find out what activity is going on that land that is supposed to be protected? Not sure why the trees would be coming down, kind of weird. And I am sympathetic that the light rail needs to come and happen in our area, but I am perplexed at the attitude for those of you who weren't here earlier. Everything that Sound Transit says sounds great because they're going to listen to us and it's all going to work out great, but in the end, they say they will take what is best for them. Right. This is site number one. Right. Site number two would be through cemetery lands.
Ms. Fargo.
And the dialogue, excuse me, I'm sorry. The dialogue between the two said the difference is only $20 million, so give or take. That's a lot of money to spend on another facility. Thank you, sir. I'm so sorry. My apologies, Mayor.
Thank you, Suzanne. See what you started, Bob? All right. That's right. That's right. Thank you, Suzanne. Hey, Suzanne, in regard to the Sound Transit, the location that you mentioned on 360th, I think it's really important for folks to realize there is no location cited yet. They have not decided where that's going to go. And then Brian Davis, our Community Development Director, will get information about, we'll get you answers to your questions. There we go. Thank you. All right, we gotta move on. We got Betty Taylor, and then we've got Julie Cleary, and then Chloe Caravello. Betty?
Hello, citizens, mayor, council members. I appreciate this opportunity to talk. I know that, Mr. Mayor, you did your presentation on Night Out, but there is something that we wanted to do. In particular, we just wanted to acknowledge the fact that Night Out was at the new Town Square Park. It's never been there before. And we would just want to thank the people that showed up. Thank you for all the city council members that showed up. Thank you, Jim Farrell, for just allowing this to happen. It was a great thing. It was a great success. I think we served more than 300 people. Everybody, you know, we had like a lot of acts and a lot of groups and stuff. And so therefore, my part is done, and I will turn it over to Claire.
I want to get it on the screen, you guys. Yeah, keep talking, Betty. Okay.
That's why I couldn't send you a little picture.
All right. So they're holding up, for folks at home that want to see this, I want to make sure the camera caught this. Okay, now you got to go to your right a bit.
So while they're holding that, I will share that
There
we
we
want to just thank the entertainment that came that night. They all are community members in Federal Way, and we're just thrilled to be able to share who they were. And we had the Federal Way High School Pacific Islander Dance Club. We had Todd Beamer High School Cheer Squad. We had Colombian, Peruvian, Mexican, and Chinese dance groups. We had the Federal Way High School hip hop dancers, Michaela Walker, who's a Decatur senior this year, who's a singer, and then we ended with the Integrity Life Children's Choir. And so it was really representative of our community, and we really want to thank you for allowing us to do a national night out as well as a neighborhood night out, so it's and both as opposed to either or. And the other thing I'll just share with you is that all of the performers were anxious to perhaps perform inside the new PAC. So hopefully we'll give them a chance to do that as members of Federal Way. Thank you
All right.
so much.
Great job, you guys. It was great. And thank you, Councilmember Honda and Betty and Councilmember Honda.
We would like to thank Target. Target called us just a couple days before the event and asked if they could sponsor this, and they were the ones that were responsible for feeding 300 people that night. So we really appreciate their help.
That's great. That's great. It was a great event. Thank you, everybody. Okay, Julie Cleary, and then Chloe Caravello.
I'll make it quick again. So I'm making them shorter and shorter. About the safe injection site, a person I was talking to said, are they going to let pregnant people come into those places? And do drug addicts have to be 18 and over? And if so, are they going to ask for ID, like going into a bar? And a lot of parents are addicts. Do they get to bring their children in, or do the children have to wait outside? No, those are weird questions. Okay, so, and the other thing is, recently DaVita purchased the property from IRG, the OP1, which is great. But before purchasing the property, they asked for a zoning interpretation. And I've been at this since last August. We've been asking for zoning interpretation for the CP1 forever. The cost of an application is $135. Wow. So I think that that's a good price. And if we had known way back then that that's all we had to do was fill out an application, pay $135 and get a zoning interpretation, I think we would have done that a lot sooner. So I'll check with Brian Davis. I will look for a zoning interpretation application. I'll pay $135 because that's a lot less than what I've already put out this last year fighting you guys. And maybe I'll get an answer. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Julie. Brian, can you clarify a little bit in regard to how's that work regarding?
What she described was accurate. Anyone can come and ask for a zoning interpretation of a use within any zone. It does take staff time, and so that's why there's a fee associated with it.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Julie. Okay, Chloe Caravello. Chloe, there you are.
Hello, my name is Chloe, and I think I would work in customer service and I wouldn't be nervous. I am here to talk about the issue on the safe injection site. I am a recovering addict myself. I have lived that life. I know the damage that it does, not just to the individual itself, but it causes a rippling effect. So a couple things is, The injection site, okay? Yeah, it's providing clean needles and, you know, tourniquets, all that stuff to lower the risks of HIV. You know, if an addict is dope sick, they're gonna shoot up there right then and there. Doesn't matter where they're at. They can be out in front of children, out in a public bathroom, you know? So it's, you know, my question is, what will be the purpose of the safe injection site? Where will these addicts go to get their next fix? My thought, the surrounding neighborhoods. I feel burglaries will go up, crime will go up. Speaking from personal experience, it's a very destructive life. I have over 2.5 years clean. I have a full-time job. But one important thing is, yes, the help is out there, the resources are out there. Treatment is available, counseling is available. But we can't change them. They have to change themselves, okay? That's what I had to do, and it was very hard, very, very hard, but it was well worth it. You know, so I am against the safe injection site. I feel that it would cause all the homeless and the addicts and, you know, these people who have these problems to congregate and loiter and just cause that area to, you know, people are not going to want to live around, you know, people who might break into their homes, break into their cars and stuff. So I just wanted to share with you, you know, what my thinking is on it, because I've lived it. And, you know, maybe you guys have, pretty sure some of you have family members or friends who have addiction problems as well, or who is recovering. You know, it is a hard life to live, and you know what? I disapprove of the safe injection site. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. That's the close of public comment. Thank you very much. It was great to hear from everyone. Now it's time for the consent agenda. These items on the consent agenda can be voted on and approved all at one time. They've gone through their respective committees with council members, 3 council members on each of those committees. So I'll go ahead and read them. After I read them, I'll ask whether a council member wants an item pulled for separate consideration. Item 5A. Minutes for the July 18th, 2017 regular meeting. Item B, monthly financial report, June 2017. Item C, vouchers for June 2017. Item D, Wi-Fi lease, Federal Way Center building. Item E, amendment to printer copier maintenance contract. Item F, City of Auburn, City of Federal Way interlocal agreement for establishing and maintaining office space for the Puget Sound Auto Theft Task Force, PSATT. Council, are there any items that the council would want to pull for separate consideration? Hearing none, Deputy Mayor Burbidge, do you have a motion?
I do, thank you. I move approval of items A through F on the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the matter's passed unanimously, items A through F. All right, and now, as I say, for the main event of the council, item 6A, council business. First, we're going to have, this is the resolution, opposition to the siting of illegal substance injection facilities within the city of Federal Way. Well, a staff report by Ryan Call, city attorney, and then a motion by Councilmember Moore. Before we get started, I want to say that I placed this on the agenda. There were 3 council members who requested that this be placed on the agenda. Ryan, go.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I was asked to prepare a resolution. I'm just going to go through it. This is not a discussion of the pros and cons. I've heard no pros from anyone tonight, and I am not prepared to discuss the pros and cons. It's simply a presentation of the resolution as drafted. So the first clause, there are basically four whereas clauses that describe the background of the issue. The first is, whereas addiction to heroin and illegal drug abuse deteriorates individual and community quality of life, fosters criminal activity, increases mortality, and burdens taxpayer-funded services such as police, hospitals, and schools. And whereas the King County Board of Health adopted resolution number 17-01 endorsing the heroin and prescription opiate addiction task force final report and recommendations, calling on local and state actors to implement the public health policies outlined in the report, including the establishment of at least 2 pilot safe injection facilities, which King County designates as community health engagement locations, CHELs, for supervised injection of heroin and other illegal drugs. Whereas the King County Council by ordinance number 2017-0136.2 amended its appropriations ordinance to provide that no funds from its mental illness and drug dependency fund shall be exposed to establish a shell except in any city which chooses to establish such a location by vote of its elected governing body. Whereas the City Council finds that the siting of a safe injection facility within the city of Federal Way to facilitate illegal drug use would be detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Federal Way. And whereas the City Council finds that the siting of a safe injection facility near the boundary of the city of Federal Way in areas of unincorporated King County designated as the potential annexation area of the city of Federal Way under the Growth Management Act would also be detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Federal Way. Now, therefore, the City Council of Federal Way resolves as follows. And there's 2 sections. 1, a simple statement of opposition, and 2, a request to King County not to cite such sites near the city in unincorporated King County in our annexation area. So that is the resolution as drafted. Are there any questions?
Councilmember Duclos.
Go back to the last part, please, there, where it says
The
that
last slide?
we're asking that they don't do it, that they don't,
Yes.
because it's unincorporated area of King County?
So the council has no authority over unincorporated King County.
Yeah, I know.
So it is a request, which I think might be very persuasive, given
I was wondering
what
if we
we've heard
could
tonight.
make that even more, somehow make it even a stronger request. I mean, I don't understand, I don't even understand how King County can allow an illegal activity when all of us take an oath of office that says that we will support and uphold the laws of the state and the government. So I don't understand how any elected official can allow an illegal activity like this.
So all I can say is the county does not have the authority to legalize heroin. And I'm not sure how they plan to address that issue.
Well, that's an important issue. It's government blessing an illegal activity. And I'm certainly opposed to them doing anything here in Federal Way areas, whether it's unincorporated, but it might be incorporated, or even if it's next to us.
That's right.
Because it will come right across into our city.
That's why we added this section, to make sure we removed any ambiguity. And again, it was done at the request and the coordination with King County Councilman Pete Von Reichbauer. Councilmember Moore?
Mr. Mayor, if I'd like to make a motion at this time.
All right,
if that's possible.
then from there, we'll,
Exactly.
I'll seek a second, and then we'll have discussion.
Perfect.
Councilmember Moore?
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. For the families and for the community, I move approval of the resolution as proposed.
Second.
I second.
All right, and Councilmember Selsky, did you have some, or actually, did you want to speak to your motion?
I would like to do so, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. First of all, thank you to our countless citizens for taking the time out of their busy day to be here. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your stories. Your heart showed, and I appreciate that. I also want to thank Councilmember Bob Selsky and Mark Copain for assisting the efforts of getting this onto the agenda. And also want to thank our mayor for your leadership on this and for your quick thinking of including the unincorporated areas. I thought that was incredibly smart and something that needed to happen. So thank you. The impact of opioids and heroin abuse have sparked a lot of hunts for solutions. And that's a great thing. Too many pills are getting a truly staggering number of people addicted to something that they can get cheaper as heroin. It's leading to crime, disease, and death. We're in the middle of an epidemic, of a crisis. I get that. I think we all get that in this room, right? We all want solutions, but we need workable, common sense solutions. We need proven, realistic, workable solutions that don't cause more problems than they solve. When King County convened a task force last year to look over solutions, it came up with a number of options. Some were great, low risk, high rewards ideas. More education, better screening, prescription disposal programs, expanded use of medicines that help with withdrawals, symptoms, or that reverse overdose effects. These are great, and all of them are proven to reduce death and disease among users. I'm happy to support those recommendations. But the county task force had another recommendation. They want to set up 2 places, one in Seattle, as we heard, and one not in Seattle, where people are welcome to take heroin without being worried about police. The idea sounds absolutely ludicrous to me. I've seen some research that says people are overdosing at these sites have a better chance of being saved, but I haven't seen any research showing the sites reducing drug use really help lower addiction rates or actually reduce overdose from happening at any place other than sites. I also haven't seen anything that shows these sites don't become not only a sanctuary for people to freely use heroin, but also become a magnet of drugs dealers, property crimes, and urban blight. In fact, I've seen the opposite. We've worked too hard to build a great city here in Federal Way. Look, I want to be clear. I'm not a doctor. None of us up here are, although we do have a nurse. And this resolution is not being introduced to divide our community or to show coldness towards our brothers and sisters who are sick with the disease of addiction. This resolution is not being introduced to deny that there's a serious opioids problem in our region. No, this resolution is being introduced because someone needs to stand up for Federal Way, right? See, the King County Task Force itself said that these sites would be a pilot program. They're not really sure they'll work, but they want to give it a shot. Basically, the task force wants to set them up as an experiment. The problem with this experiment is finding a place to hold the experiment. Seattle will have one of these sites, but King County hasn't said publicly where their second site is going to be. To their credit, they've said all the right things about only wanting to drop it into a city that wants it. But a funny thing happened after the task force issued its recommendation last September. You see, there were 3 non-Seattle cities with agency representations on the task force. They were Renton, Auburn, and Bellevue. And after the injection sites recommendations came out, exactly 2 cities moved to pass resolution opposing heroin injection sites in their communities. They were Auburn and Bellevue. Bellevue just passed theirs last night. Auburn passed theirs in July. Last week, I heard a King County prosecutor and a candidate for public office from Redmond say that the only proposals for these sites are for Seattle and Federal Way. Last night, when the city was banning a heroin injection site in Bellevue, the mayor of that city told a news station that the site should be in South King County because it's just not appropriate for Bellevue. These comments, I'm sorry, but these comments irritated me as a leader in South King County. They're disrespectful. Federal Way and South King County are being nominated to play a host to an experiment that the people nominating us for don't want anywhere near their own backyard. The comments are also ignorant, especially when you know that Federal Way became a city in the first place. Why is Federal Way even in that discussion? No one has approached Federal Way about having a heroin injection site in our community. I don't know why Federal Way is being nominated, but I bet I know why no one's nominating Bellevue, why no one's nominating Auburn. It's obviously isn't clear to some people whether Federal wants to host the county's heroin injection site experiment. So tonight, to my fellow council members, Mr. Mayor, and to our citizens, I want to make it clear. I want King County to know exactly where we stand before they get back to discussing among themselves where they can put their own heroin injection sites. Before Federal can come up again in the discussions, they won't actually have with Federal, before injection sites and Federal can even be said in that same sentence. I want us to send a message tonight. Let's make sure the message that's heard is no. Let's make it plainly understood that Federal is not King County's heroin injection site testing ground. That Federal is done being the default location for every idea coming out of King Counties that sounds good in theory, but that no one actually wants to put in their own backyard. We became a city so we could stop being King County's dumping ground. So we could stand up and push back and have a voice in what happens in our community. That's why we became a city in the very beginning. And many of you in this room and outside of this room will remember that. So let's use that voice. Let's say as clearly as we can, no. Find another backyard. Find another city. Federal says no. That ends my comments, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Now, there's been a motion and a second. The second was by Councilmember Selski. Councilmember Selski, would you like to make the comment?
Yes, Mayor Farrell, thank you. I want to begin by saying thank you to Councilmember Moore. He's the one who went out on a limb, started this action, asked me to co-sponsor it, so to speak, and it didn't take me very long to do that. In fact, I said immediately yes. Thank you, Martin. You did good. And I'm proud of you. I'll say it publicly. I'm proud of you for standing up for what was right and going out on that limb. And I have to thank the citizens that spoke tonight about your stories, about the addictions and how it's affected you. I tell you, that was very eye-opening to me. And I thank you for your courage. That was just tremendous of you to do that and really help open all of our eyes as to what's really going on out there. I looked up the definition of safe, and the definition of safe is protected from or not exposed to danger or risk or not likely to be harmed. So based on this definition, I really see nothing safe about injecting heroin into a human being. Really, no matter what that dose is. I believe any type of injection isn't even being compassionate of us as a community or as a society. Really, all it does is prolong the addiction. So rather, a person must seek to rid themselves of this addiction, and as we heard tonight, it has to happen instantaneously. And somehow, if we as a group of leaders can help make that happen, I think that's on our task list and an immediate task that we have to approach. In 2015, in the November general election, the citizens of Federal Way were asked to provide an advisory vote if they wanted to establish retail marijuana shops as well as production processing of marijuana in the city of Federal Way. And in that general election advisory vote, the citizens voted a resounding no. 62% said no establishment of marijuana in Federal Way, 38% said yes. So I believe tonight this resolution is an extension of that vote that we saw a mere 2 years ago. Lastly, the input from the community has been as one-sided as I have ever seen. It's been amazing to hear the stories and really the support for this resolution. I do have a comment that I want to read, just a little paragraph here from a well-known and respected citizen who emailed me, and I'm just going to say this little piece here. Safe injection sites are a threat to all of our residents in the county. If allowed, they will normalize deadly behavior as an example before our children. Government-sponsored sites will give the illusion of acceptability to the deadly behavior of our addicts. This misguided service will draw more addicts to the drug-friendly Northwest from around the nation. Established business will flee, new business will choose other cities, and the tax base will dramatically suffer. So that's all I want to say. And again, I want to say thank you to Councilmember Moore. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Sefadowson.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to acknowledge and recognize the effort that was done by King County and Seattle's effort to recommend or for studying the health board who did the study. Sorry, I couldn't say it. So from the study, we hear that, you know, the public health perspective was that, you know, it provides clean needles, it reduces transmission of infectious diseases, it reduces death from overdosing, and then the availability of the drug to reverse the deadly effect of opioids is available. And it could be cost-effective for healthcare systems. And then also that it's an entry into supportive services, although participants have to be willing or wanting the help. And then when we look at the public safety aspect or perspective of it, it's illegal to use drugs. So I think that trumps everything right there and then. And then also that drug users resort to criminal activities to feed their habits, which compromises our public safety, and costs for services will increase. And then our community, we have people who are addicted, and we have heard testimonies tonight, right? And so I have 3 sons. They're not using, they're not addicted, but I want to bring the human component to this to say, if I was to experience that, what would I want to do? I want to save my child. I want to make sure that they are protected and that they will get the services that they want at any given moment. And I do want to thank Jennifer and Sandy and Chloe for your testimonies, because you really got to the essence of what I feel as a parent. And so thank you very much for what you said. Thank you for your testimonies, and thank you for sharing. So tonight, what I would like to say is, I would like to have some kind of a task force, like we did for the homeless children, women and children, to really see what our community, our city, our council can do, and our mayor can do to support those who have the immediate need for assistance, for help. If it means that we fund transportation like Jennifer suggested, if it means getting them to get the help that they need, I think we need to be ready, because we do want to serve people who are in need. That's what we're here for. So I just want to say that, to say let's be compassionate and let's find a way to support people who do want the help to get away from their addiction.
Deputy Mayor Burbridge, then Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. We've heard a great deal of eloquent testimony this evening from the public, and I want to thank each of you, and also from the dais, both in the initiative to present the resolution and the support of the resolution. And I don't need to repeat all of the points. They're very impressively presented, but I would like to underscore one of the points that has been made more than once, and that is to, instead of spending resources on what has been proposed with such injection sites, to specifically direct those resources to additional treatment programs, and indeed making them more accessible, transportation, whatever would be useful. And I certainly would support an effort by our city in that regard.
Councilmember Honda, then Councilmember Kopech.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say that I am a member of the King County Board of Health. I'm an alternate, which means I vote when one of the two voting members are not present. We represent the Sound Cities Association, and our votes are reflective of what that organization wants. I did not vote at the meeting when this was adopted because both voting members were present and they voted. On January 20th, 2017, the King County Board of Health voted to adopt Resolution 17-01, which endorsed the recommendations of the Prescription Opiate Addiction Task Force final report. This task force was created by King County Executive Constantine, Mayor Ed Murray, and Mayors Law and Backus of Renton and Auburn. It included 30-plus members from organizations throughout the county. They met for over a course of 6 months and had several public meetings. The task force recommended ways to prevent drug abuse and drug overdose, treatment expansion and enhancement, and user health and overdose prevention. Tonight we are discussing the last recommendation, which was to create 2 CHEL sites, community health engagement locations. I cannot call them safe injection sites. One would be in Seattle and one would be in the county. No source of funding was established for those recommendations in January. I was surprised in January, right before we walked out of our caucus meeting to the Board of Health meeting, that we had 2 emails. One was from the King County Sheriff and one was from the King County Prosecutor, who both encouraged us to support this recommendation. Many professionals who work with those who are addicted to illegal drugs are also in support. Just the other day, I received an email, as all Board of Health members did, with 200 signatures from physicians and social workers who work with drug addicts throughout the county to support CHEL sites. The primary purpose of the CHEL site is to engage those with opiate use disorder, to use different strategies to reduce harm and to promote health. This includes overdose prevention and treatment of overdose if it happens. When this was voted on in January, I came back from Seattle and I spoke with the mayor to ask him to do whatever he could to prevent a site from coming to Federal Way. We have a public health crisis in King County and in Federal Way. In 2015, 229 people died from drug overdose in King County. We have a problem. We can't ignore it anymore. People of all ages and cultures are using drugs. Tonight, I don't want the conversation to end with a vote on having a CHEL site here or not. It's time the Federal Way combats the issue. Do we accept the King County Task Force recommendations, which is 101 pages long? You can download it off of King County webpage. And I support all of the recommendations except the CHEL sites. Or do we create our own group, which will study the issue and make a report months down the road? I suggest that we don't have time to support our own task force and that we accept these recommendations and move forward in addressing the drug crisis in Federal Way. This afternoon, I attended a meeting where parents and grandparents of those who are addicted to drugs meet every Tuesday, and I talked to several of those folks. And the one thing that they asked me was that we create more beds for treatment, because when somebody wants to be treated, they want to be treated now, and there are not enough beds in King County. 2 weeks ago, I asked the mayor if the Director of Public Health, Patty Hayes, could speak with us. He didn't support that and stated that we had not been asked to have a CHEL site here in Federal Way. I asked that Patty come to speak with us because I believe that for us to understand the problem, we need to understand what's happening in King County, and Patty Hayes knows that better than anyone else. On July 28th, which was a Friday, I heard rumors that we were getting a CHEL site here. I contacted King County Council member and Board of Health member Kathy Lambert. She said she had not heard that, but she would call King County Executive Constantine and ask him. So she did, and he agreed that this was not being discussed to having a shell site in Federal Way. However, the rumors persisted. People are upset and outraged, and I understand why. As a registered nurse, I took an oath to do no harm, and to me, a place where you can inject illegal drugs is a place where you can do harm to yourself. And there's a lot of questions with that. Are children allowed? Are drug sales allowed? What happens if a pregnant woman walks in? Is she going to be allowed to self-inject when she's obviously pregnant? There's too many questions. It's not a good idea. The facts are, though, that the funding doesn't exist. King County Council has voted that each local jurisdiction can decide if they want a shell site or not. And if they do, then perhaps funding could be found for it, but I'm still not sure where that funding will come from. If you live in unincorporated King County, I would encourage you to contact our King County Council member and let him know your thoughts and your concerns. As to Federal Way, the mayor knew that we had not been approached to cite a location here and that the final decision was ours to make. The resolution tonight is great. I'm hoping that it passes, but I don't want the conversation to stop tonight. I want us to continue talking about the issue of drug abuse in Federal Way. You see it every day when you're out driving around. We have a problem. We need to address it. And we have tools to address it in here. So I think that's what we should be doing. Thank you.
We had heard, as there's a legislative candidate up in the legislative district 45 that had, as we had heard earlier, had said erroneously that Federal Way was being considered as a site. I personally called Patty Hayes, who we'd worked with previously on the public health initiative, and spoke with her personally and made sure that was not the case. She said that was an error. We reached out to that candidate and made sure that the correction was made and that she had just either misspoke or heard that information incorrectly. I did not believe, and I do not believe it was necessary for us to have, at the request of Councilmember Honda, a study session, a full study session on this issue, and to invite the public health director to engage in that. I don't need a study session to know that this is probably the worst public policy issue I've ever heard of. And so that's why we did not have a study session. And we were not going to get what I knew would happen after 28 years in public policy and public service is what I knew would happen is if we had a full study session and this council chambers and this entire issue would turn into a circus. And we put this forward at the request of Councilmember Martin. I supervised the drafting of this resolution. It is on the agenda today at my request and the request of 3 council members. So that is the history. Councilmember Kopay.
I'm proud of our city. I'm proud to call Federal Way my home. I'm honored to serve as a member of the council and to serve you as the citizens. This was not a hard decision, but it's a decision I think that really comes with a lot of baggage because we're a compassionate city. We're a city that really desires the best outcome for everyone that lives here. Sometimes that compassion can be misplaced, and what is thought of as compassionate becomes enabling. And I think the last thing we want to do is enable people to continue in a destructive path. What Jennifer, Sandy, and Chloe did tonight was heroic, and I want to thank them for their vulnerability and their courage in speaking about their history with this drug. And, you know, I'm sure there's not one of us in this room that hasn't been touched in some way by the scourge of drugs in a negative way. And it's something that we share. And I think this is one more example of the city of Federal Way finding a way to come together to address the issues that we all face. And I think that's a very powerful thing. When we connect together and when we work together, there really isn't much we can't do. And I'm amazed at how our city continues to evolve and grow, and how we really have addressed major issues head on, over and over again. We have a violence prevention task force that was just completed last year, and we're in the process of final recommendations on that, and it's going to come to the vote for the council. But again, that's a great example of the community coming together. And even though we didn't have funds in place to fund a huge study, we had a bunch of volunteers that came in and said, we want to be a part of the solution. And I know that we can do the same thing with this issue as well, but the uncertainty that would have been injected into the conversation by having a study session, I think would have been would have caused the circus, as Mayor Farrell said. And so I think to really put this particular issue to rest is important for us to do tonight, but the conversation doesn't end. We have a community of people that are suffering, and some of them are suffering willingly because of their unwillingness to change their behavior. But the power of addiction is such that they don't necessarily have the choice. There's something driving them, and when they want help and when they need help, I think as a community we need to be there to help them. And so I know that the conversation does not end tonight. I think it does take a different course, though, a course of looking for solutions and not enabling addicts to continue in their path. So I'm very pleased to be a part of this council and to be here tonight to take this important vote.
Very good. Council, any other, Councilmember Duclos?
Yeah, this kind of reminds me, I was on the first 10-year committee to end homelessness, and I was one of the few people that spoke out about the fact that we would not end homelessness in 10 years or any amount of years. But of course, I was just one of the few votes, and it was enacted, and people got money, and they opened up hotels for people, and a lot of those held, even though they were funded by your tax dollars and mine, they allowed those people to come in and stay in those hotels and drink and do drugs because they claimed it was their housing, and I felt it wasn't. It was housing that we were paying for, and we had a right to expect something. So we weren't changing them, we were just putting them in a place that was going to lead them further and further down a bad path and not end well. And I think the idea of having safe injection sites is the same thing. Basically, we're telling them you're not worth trying to save. Here, take the drugs and do them and do yourself in. And I don't think that's what we want to do as people. Number one. And number two, I don't think we do it because it's illegal. And we can't do it as a city or as individuals because it's against the law. And again, as I said, we took an oath to uphold the law. So I'm going to be supporting the motion and voting against this and putting us on record that you're not going to dump stuff down here in Federal Way.
All right, every council member being heard. There's been a motion and a second. Is there anybody else who would like to say anything? All right, there's been a motion and a second and some very impassioned discussion. Councilmember Moore.
Thank you. I do want to take the time to thank King County Councilmember Pete Von Reichbauer for his leadership. He put out a statement encouraging South End communities that reside in District 7 to take action. And so I'm thankful that I had a chance to connect with him on this, and I appreciate his leadership on this.
As do I. Gene, you got anything? Okay. All right. There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The matter passes unanimously. Thank you all for coming. We do have, as part of our regular meeting, we do have our council reports. So at this time, I'll start with Councilmember Duclos. And thank you again for coming. Councilmember Duclos?
Well, I'm going to change the subject. I think this has been a pretty heavy discussion tonight, and I've got some really good news. And I wanted to thank the mayor because he worked on this with me. I published another book, and the mayor read the first copy of it and gave me some feedback. One of it was, this would make a good sci-fi movie. And we're both sci-fi fanatics,
right.
so, and I
Yeah.
agree with you. But anyway, the book is now here. It's called
Hey.
Paley's Fire, and you can go on to Amazon and order it. And it's about a volcano in Hawaii and some of the issues that go along with it. It's sort of a sequel to a book I wrote before, but it stands alone. So it's not volumes and volumes, and it's a fast read, and I would encourage people, if you're interested in science fiction, it's out there for you.
Very good.
And that's all I have.
Congratulations, Deanie.
Thank
That's
you.
great. All right, Councilmember Moore.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thank you to my colleagues again for your actions tonight. Lydia, I appreciate your comments. I think that we need to look at alternative solutions and partnerships, and perhaps Federal Way playing a lead role in addressing this, and Federal Way, because it's an issue that's not going to disappear, certainly. I will say on a different topic that, as Councilmember Copane stated, we truly, and I know all of us I know all of us here on the dais believe this, but we are truly a great city, and I love this city. I think it's a fantastic city, and you know, with all the events that have been happening, you'll probably hear my colleagues talking about it. I just have to say thank you. Thank you to the community for having the passion, having the drive to come together and make things happen. We are, honestly, we are a stronger community because of the passion that our people have with their ideas. And so, as I sit back and just make a list of all the events that have happened in the last 2 weeks, or last 3 weeks, I'm just quite frankly in awe. And my report, I just want to end it by saying thank you to the residents that put their heart, soul, love, passion into doing their part in making Federal Way a great city. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Copane.
Yeah, I wanted to just extend my thanks to Mark Green, Jack Stanford, one of our Human Services Commissioners, and Sherry Edwards, one of the co-chairs of the Women's and Children's Shelter Initiative, Homelessness Initiative, for their desire to serve our city. I can't think of a higher honor in my life than to be a member of this body and to serve our city. And I know it's difficult when you don't get elected, but I am confident that each one of these people will continue to serve our city in some way, and I'm very appreciative for them and for their efforts. I also want to thank the community that came together for Friendship Day. That was a great event on this last Sunday. I know Nick came to us as a council a couple years ago with this off-the-wall idea. Friendship. Let's celebrate it. And you know what? We couldn't argue with that. And we've done it 2 years in a row now, and I got to think this is going to get bigger and better. It's one of the first events we did at Town Square Park, and it's going to continue to grow. So anyway, I just really appreciate, that's a great example, I think, of a community that responds to one another, and just another great reason to be a part of Federal Way and to be proud in calling it home. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. On August 2nd was Kids Day at Steele Lake Park, and I first went there about 3 years ago, and there were 9 sponsors at that time. This year there were 33, and that's to the awesome work of Melinda at the Federal Way Community Center. There were so many kids there, and so many daycares and so many parents there that there wasn't enough parking, and that's a great problem if you had a parking spot. If you didn't have a parking spot, it was a big issue. Perhaps Steele Lake Park is too small for this event now, but it's only because of the hard work of our staff and the community coming out to this event. Desna Cup is having their 10th anniversary. It's August 19th and 20th at Sahali Park. This is also an amazing event for Federal Way. It brings in thousands of people. It started 10 years ago. They contacted me 10 years ago and asked for my help in reaching out into the schools. I did what I could to help them, but they have taken their event, which started with soccer, and they've made it into soccer and all sorts of other things. It's a cultural event. It too has outgrown its original location, but they're still there. And I'd encourage you to stop by Sahali Park at Desna Cup. It's free, and see what they're doing, because it's truly an awesome event. Rosebud Theater is presenting Beauty and the Beast. We attended this opening night, which was last Friday, and very impressed by the performance. They're teenagers. This is at Federal Way United Methodist Church, and it's this Friday, Saturday at 7 o'clock, and Sunday at 2 o'clock. Holly Rose is the director, and this is sponsored by our Federal Way Arts Commission. They get a small grant from the city. But Holly has done an amazing job with taking kids who might not know how to act or sing and developing them into actors and actresses, and it's really an amazing performance. I'd encourage you to go. And as the mayor said, the salmon bake was July 28th. I hope we had over 1,000 people, I'm not sure. I was the co-chair. I'd like to thank co-chair Linda Persha and President Ed Plumley of the Federal Way Noon Kiwanis Club, and to all those who supported and sponsored this event. It was our 61st event, and next year on the 4th Friday in July will be the 62nd event. And I just want to clear something up that was said tonight. When I asked if Patty Hayes could come and speak, I said a special council meeting, which is what we call our 5:30 council meetings, which we have very often, or a study session. And I thought it would be a good idea for her to educate us on what is happening in King County and Federal Way, because she is the public health director for King County, on drugs, drug abuse. I still don't understand what the concern would be. We did have quite a few people. This has been almost a circus on social media about this happening in Federal Way when we knew that Federal Way had not been asked to be a site. I don't support shell sites. I don't believe that's a way to address drug abuse. But we do have a drug crisis, and we need to address it now. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Selski.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to keep my comments really light and short. It seems to me this is annual fundraising time for the city and different organizations in the city. 3 weeks ago, we had the Boys and Girls Club fundraiser. 2 weeks ago, we had the salmon bake that Councilmember Honda just talked about. Last week, we had the Fusion annual fundraiser, and I think between those three events, I know over hundreds of thousands of dollars were raised for really worthy causes in these organizations that go throughout the thread of our city. So I'm really proud that these organizations exist in Federal Way. They take care of our kids, our people, our homeless shelters, that kind of thing. There's one more coming up yet, and that's the Reach Out fundraiser, Reach Out Federal Way, which of course is the overnight shelter, meal service, and case management for those in need. That fundraiser happens at the Christian Faith Center on Tuesday, September 19th, starting at 7 in the morning. And I know that fundraiser is going to raise a ton of money as well for that worthy cause. And I also mentioned another fundraiser tonight, briefly. Adrion Workman, our young skater who's going to the World Junior Championships in China. So again, I just put a plea out there, if you could, please go to his GoFundMe site and help this young man out and his parents. Last thing, the next Land Use and Transportation Committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, the 11th of September at 5 o'clock right here in council chambers. And that's all. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Cefados.
Thank you. Again, I just want to say thank you for the conversation we had earlier. I'm educated, and thank you for your testimony again, Chloe, because those are more important than reading through data and information, because it doesn't paint the real picture of people who are experiencing it. So thank you for your vulnerability and for sharing, and hopefully we can learn a lot from you moving forward. And thank you for everyone who's shown interest in doing something about the issue and trying to address it. And maybe hopefully Human Services Commission might even be part of the solution or addressing this. So I look forward to whatever it is that we do. I was at the Regional Law and Safety Justice Committee meeting early morning, 7:30 in Seattle. And there was a panel conversation around youth and the criminal system. And one of the panel members was Jason Clark, who is on the Federal Way Youth Action Team. And so it was really good to see someone who represents Federal Way there at the regional level, and also being a part of it and sharing what Federal Way is doing for the youth. So I'm just happy to see that we are out there, and that the efforts that are in Federal Way are out there, shared with others, and being a good model citizen supporting our youth. If you have not been out there to listen to the piano in the park, there's a really cute piano there, but when I went there were just different people playing, adults, children, and so I would encourage, if you have time on your hands, just go either play or watch or listen to other people play. And then National Night Out, thank you, Betty, for your vision, for coming over and over to the council meeting saying, why not have it here? And here's the outcome. And I just want to say thank you to Susan and to Claire for helping with this effort. And I look forward to more of group community National Night Out moving in the years to come. So thank you, Betty. And then this morning on the news, they were talking about the speed skaters. And so they mentioned a third person from Federal Way, if you know anything about it. I just want to say Federal Way is out, out there in the news, and even an additional person going to
the World Junior.
Is it World Junior?
I think we have 3 skaters that are going, but the other 2 are older than Adrian, who's our youngest.
Okay, so it's just great to see that they're all from Federal Way, and good luck to every one of them. And with that, I end my report.
All right, Deputy Mayor Burbidge.
Thank you very much. Tomorrow morning, the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee has a meeting at 10, and it's going to be at the Pacific Bonsai Museum. We appreciate their hosting it. And this committee is focusing right now, continuing its work on hospitality training within our city, and also our city's role in hosting the Special Olympics next year, and also working on an application for the dive trials in the future. I also would mention that the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee has a role through its Tourism Enhancement Grant Program in financially assisting events coming to our city, such as the Desna Cup that was mentioned earlier, and the festival that it encompasses, both the sports and the cultural and arts programs. Additionally, I would like to just comment on the work that has been done by our city staff, particularly the economic development work by Tim Johnson, but also, as he mentioned, the other staff who had roles in producing that outstanding video. I look forward to its use frequently and broadly. I think it will represent our city well in our economic development efforts. And additionally, I'd like to mention again that was described earlier, but to reemphasize the opening of the Performing Arts and Event Center with the community event on the 19th, beginning at 11 o'clock with the ribbon cutting, then the free performances and tours all afternoon, and then, of course, the movie, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, on Sunday. So, along with tours and exploring the facility. This is very exciting, and to have this culmination of all the work that's gone into it for so many years, it's very rewarding. And when I think about the fact that so many other programs occur in our city, our community is so generous and so eager to respond to needs. It's very impressive what our community does, and it's so impressive what our outstanding staff does every day, and how our city as a whole accomplishes so much and uses our resources so effectively. I also am very proud to be part of Federal Way and certainly part of the city of Federal Way. So, thank you.
All right. And with that, everybody, we are adjourned. Great job, everybody.